I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Won't stop fighting to the very end. Many men try to reach it.
Alright, dudes and dudettes, we're back here at Josh's shop, Cold-Blooded Kingdom. We're going to do a couple more episodes over here throughout the week, and I can't wait to show you guys the big surprise that Josh has in store. This back room here is where all the fresh imports come in, and this is where all the treating is done. So this is aside from the actual showcase room, and I'll try and give you like a we'll do like a walkthrough to show. Well, we'll show you that one on another episode to see what goes on back behind here, just so they can make sure that everything is good. So, got a lot of fresh imports here. This looks like a rice singer right behind me. So that's a yellow tree monitor right there. And they specifically built these cages for these guys to keep the temps that they need. And then we just got here, it's early in the morning, so the guys are working on everything. But today we're gonna do something a little different. Instead of going into one particular species, because I wanna do the next episode on the crested geckos and the bioactive system. So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna show you some of the things that Josh has in the shop that you guys are able to buy whenever you want. So this is one of my, this would be like a beginner species. So these are blue tongue skinks. They come in a bunch of different morphs nowadays. The morphs are extremely expensive, but the cool part about these guys right here is they're not egg layers. These skinks have live birth, and we're gonna show you some babies here in a second. So they call them blue tongue skinks. You'll see him flick that tongue out in a second. You wanna taste a finger? Are you gonna prove me wrong? There you go. So you get a nice blue tongue, obviously, which is where the name comes from. Now there's a couple of different localities of these guys that you can get. Not sure what locality this is, but we're gonna walk out to the shop just a second here, and we're gonna show you some little tiny babies that you can get, and we're also gonna show you another morph of one of these guys. And then I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna show you guys some of the geckos and some of the things that are gonna be pretty much similar to the way that we're gonna set up the crested geckos at Brian's house in the next episode. So we're gonna run you through some things that'll be comparable to basically beginner reptiles, intermediate stuff, and then also your bioactive setup. So let's go see the babies of these guys. Actually, wait, one more surprise real quick. We'll come back for the surprise in a second. Let's go check out the babies real quick. Boom. So I stole Carlos's job. I don't even work here, but we're gonna steal Carlos's job for the day, and then he's gonna help him with the rest of what he's got going on. But they have some questions about their breeder dragon. Number one, they wanted to know if it was a male. 100% it's a male. We've done this before. If you guys want to check out the little bulge right there in the middle, and I'll actually show you guys too. So if you plant them firmly on your hand like that, and get them comfortable, and you lift this tail up, you're gonna see this bulge in the middle for a male. And these are the two hemipenes right here. Okay. So those two bulges mean that it's a male. If it was a female, what you would see is these bulges wouldn't be there, and there would be like a little horseshoe right there. Oh, perfect. So it'd be like a flat horseshoe. So this is a male. It's not an adult, but it is adult enough to breed. Okay. So 100%. So if I was gonna be breeding anything, like if I was gonna be breeding bearded dragons, I would go for a smaller guy like this. Okay. These guys are definitely more ready to go as far as breeding goes. Once they get older and a lot bigger, you tend to have a little bit more problems. Not that they don't lock up, but the young males seem to go after it a lot more. Sure. Which young males do. All right, so we got Noah, and we got, what's your name, little dude?
Ryan.
Ryan, and then we got, what's your name?
Dylan.
Dylan. So we got Noah, Ryan, and Dylan, and they all shop at Josh's because Josh is awesome, and Carlos and everybody helps.
Amazing here.
So it is. It's one of the best shops that I have been in pretty much my entire life. They did a good job on that reptile shop
And
here.
this is where he came from.
We have a gorgeous little bearded dragon here, and they want to get the nails clipped, so we're going to do that. And the way we do that is very simple. We're going to go and look for the meat in the nail, and this guy's missing a couple of fingers, no big deal, probably brothers and sisters in the beginning of this, but they want to get the nails trimmed so they don't have to get raked on. So these guys, being as small as they are, you want to be careful because you don't want to clip the meat. So we're going right to where the meat is. We're going to clip these out. Man, Lizard, you match me. I'm missing fingers too, bud. You know why I'm missing fingers? Alligators.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, missing my whole right bicep, missing fingers, missing the whole 9 yards. Missing a little bit upstairs too. Stay in school, kids. Yeah, buddy. So, Noah, how long have you been shopping over here at Josh's place?
Probably about a year now.
Yeah, ever since he opened up.
Won't go anywhere else.
Did you ever come to the shop before when it wasn't Josh's?
No.
So
We about December on the way back from a holiday trip, we decided to get the kids a bearded dragon, and we stopped in here, and it was just an amazing experience.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's like a zoo experience, and then on top of that, you get to get a little pet for the fam, and this is the best choice all around for any children. Number one, because you could play with them all the time. They rarely stress out. These guys do really well with the kids. My kids have their own little bearded dragons at home. So we're going right to the, I'll see if I can get it close to the camera for you guys. This one is a hypo, so it's all clear nails here, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. So you just go for the tips, and then you can see the meat, especially against the clippers right there. So we're going right, excuse me little buddies, I gotta get a couple more. So we're going, I go right to the clipper, and then I'm looking for the meat, and then we're just getting just the ends there, just so that they don't get raked up too much when he's walking and crawling around. I'll get a little bit more on this foot here. Carlos, you got a file by chance?
Yeah, let me check what they're getting back.
Here, Pops, come over here and hold him for me.
Sure.
Let me just get underneath here real quick. I know, little buddy, you want to scramble. You want to scramble, scramble. Let me just get this little twisty one here. So it's always good to trim nails for 2 reasons. Number one, if they're not doing it on their own, you don't want to get too long because they can have problems later on where it'll start to curl the feet up and stuff. You could put a little pressure right behind him right there.
Sure.
And he's not gonna like it for a second, but it will get it done quicker, a little less stress. Yeah, this is a good little, God, the guy's observational. I like this little guy.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we got a little nip on that one. So if you go past the clip, you're gonna see a little bit of blood, which is definitely not wanted. I'm sorry, bud, you're good, you're good, you're good. We only missed one. So with that blood on some lizards, you have to worry about that. On the bearded dragons, there's not really much there, so that's gonna stop here in a second. Well, you can hold it for a second, and that's gonna stop. Not extremely painful for these guys, but just like me, when I clip this little nubby finger here, a lot of blood comes out, and I don't like it, so I try not to do it for my little lizard friends here too.
Oh yeah.
So this is, if you guys go back to my other episodes when we were talking about bearded dragons with Brian's bearded dragon at his house, we were talking about the difference between morphs and stuff, and this one probably has a couple of different morphs in him. If I were to guess, there's some coral hypo in this guy. Hypo for sure, definitely though, because if you look at all those nails, they're all clear. So once you have all clear nails on a bearded dragon, you definitely know that it does have hypo in it. And then if you look at the top of this guy, go ahead and show him the top of that thing right there. Beautiful pink on top. That's why I think he's got some coral hypo in there. The first morph that ever came out was Sandfire, and that gave you these little blue bars on the side, so it looks like he may have some of that in his past too, but gorgeous little lizard here, and obviously well cared for by the family over here.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for letting me use you on my YouTube.
Absolutely, and thank you for clipping his nails.
Not a problem. So we got Dylan, we got Ryan, which is my twin brother's name, by the way, and then we got Noah.
Yes,
so
sir.
We got some new friends over here. So thank you guys for shopping at Josh's shop and supporting the little small businesses. I say small businesses, but Josh is going out of control, so it's a big business. Bye, guys. Thank you guys for letting us help out. All right, now we're gonna get back to the episodes, dude. Let's go back to the blue tongues. Boom. All right, so now we're going back to the blue tongue skinks real quick. If hands don't work for shit, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so this one is, are you mean? They usually are. These guys are usually sweet. So this is the same species. It's a blue tongue skink, and you can see the difference. This is a caramel blue tongue skink, so it's technically, I would say, usually when it's caramel, it's a T positive albino. Now I don't know if that's the same for these guys here, because I'm not too keen on all the morph stuff, and I'm not going to tell you something that I don't know, but usually caramel is a T positive animal. So you see why they call it caramel. It brings out a lot of the colors on the back. So rather than the dull skink that you just saw, this is a very big, huge adult. This is a big adult. This is about the size that they're going to get too, which makes it a good first time pet too, because the cares are fairly simple. My nephew actually has one of these. They eat like beasts. They usually come in, even when they're imports, they do extremely well. They're usually friendly. I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 in my entire lifetime that actually get really angry and try and bite, but for the general disposition of these animals, they're very calm, relaxed, and absolutely gorgeous. And this is one of the things, like, I'm not super against morphs. It's just how far you get into the morphs, especially with the inbreeding and stuff. That's just the part that I disagree with. But as far as morphs go, for the blue tongue skinks, I think it's my favorite to see, because when you get melanistics or albinos or some of these crazy looking patterns on these guys, it really brings out some super cool colors. So now I'm going to show you some babies, and all of these are for sale, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to contact Josh, as always, we have his information in the description below, and these guys will help you with whatever you need. So any questions you have past what I'm telling you in the episode, which isn't going to be much information, you are more than welcome to go ahead and contact them directly. And let's see what we got here. Little tiny babies. And what you got is literally just a little bit of cat food in here, and this is great to get them started on. They also eat crickets and stuff like that. So you got your bugs, crickets, dubia roaches, all that good stuff. But a lot of times people will start these guys off on cat food. Why? Because it stinks and they like it. So these guys here, you could tell the difference here. So if I was going to say this is going to be an anery just basically means that a lot of that color is taken out. Anery is a specific 2 colors. So when you have albinism, that means it's a lack of melanin. When you have a melanistic, that's the lack of I forget the color. So melanistic is all black, and then when you have an anathoristic, you usually have this nice white and black pattern. So I'm going to say this is an anery little blue tongue skink, but these are cute little babies. And the coolest part about these guys is if you were to breed these guys, they do not lay eggs. The skinks give live birth. Makes it 100% easier to deal with what you're dealing with. That's why I say it's a good beginner pet, especially if you're trying to get into the breeding, because with these guys, you still do have to cycle them out. You still do want to pay attention to the environment. As per usual, you want to do as much research as possible. You want to give them everything that they need to be able to thrive and survive. And then once they're adults and you do put them together, you don't have to go through the whole process of incubating and taking care of eggs for 60 to 80 days, depending on what you're incubating at. With these guys, they just spit out live birth, and you get these little tiny cute little babies. So you wake up one day and there's extra lizards in your cage. What else could you ask for? It's like Christmas Day or Hanukkah or whatever your days are. Either way. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you some more stuff that he's got for sale. We're not going to feed a mascot today because it is the 4th of July. So Brian and I have to go back to his house, take care of some stuff. We're going to do a live. So happy 4th of July, everybody. But I'm going to tell you that again in a minute. And we're not going to have this video posted today. It's going to be posted. Oh, this goes for sale too. These are my favorite. So these are little Molinas or quince monitors. I can actually open the door for you and watch this guy crawl around here. So with these guys here, the cool part about these is that they don't get very big. They do get relatively large. I would say probably 3 feet, 4 feet, I wouldn't even say 4 feet, 3.5 feet from the head to the tip of the tail is going to be max on these guys. But the older they get, the more yellow comes in. So you see the patterns now is not what you're gonna get when you have an adult animal. This animal will pretty much be, I would say, 75% more yellow than what it is as a baby. So they start off like this with these cool little patterns, and a lot of them come with a lot more yellow on the head. But no matter what, pretty much no matter what quince monitor you get, whether there's more yellow on the body or not, once it gets older, it is gonna yellow out. And I'll see if I can get a picture of an adult. I don't think he still has his adult here, but once we get to it, I'll see if I can get you guys a picture so you can see what an adult looks like if we don't get copyrighted for that. If not, I apologize. Go look it up online. Quince monitor or the yellow Molinas, Varanus Molinas. All right, so another on the monitor spectrum that I want to show you. Ooh, that's gonna be a different key. Let me see if I can get one from the back. All right, dudes and dudettes, so we're gonna go back to the monitors once the outside of the store calms down a little bit. It's getting loud. We're gonna call this the chaotic episode of Cold-Blooded Kingdom, because I more just wanted to come in here today. I had to pick up some stuff, and Brian had a little bit of time, and we have not had much time lately, so I wanted to show you guys a lot of the stuff that he has available here that we usually really don't go into. We go into like a species at a time. These are one of my favorite colubrids. I wasn't a huge colubrid guy for a long time, and then I got more and more into the colubrids as time went on. Now these were just hatched literally 2 days ago. So we watched the first one come out. I wish Brian was here so we could have got a time lapse, but these guys are Spilotes. Spilotes, my goats, I like to call them. So these are from South America, and these are tiger rat snakes. So these are captive born at Cold-Blooded Kingdom. He got the eggs out of a gravid female a couple months back, and he's been tending to his little eggs like a good little boy for a long time, and every single one hatched. So we got 9 in total, and there's some with some really, really gorgeous patterns. I think this one here is my favorite, just with the banding on the back there. So these guys come extremely variable. So when you get into certain ranges, because there's a strong range in South America with these guys, so when you get into certain places, you have different patterns. A lot of the ones that you'll see have this regular banding pattern along the back, but then when you get into like Nicaragua and places like that, you're gonna see a lot more variation in the patterns. That's why I love these guys so much. It's not a specific morph, it's more a locality thing. So it's more exactly where they come from that's gonna give you these different patterns. So the different patterns with the ones from Nicaragua is usually you'll get a big, huge stripe down the back. So you get these dorsal stripes. Rather than the sideways banding, you're gonna get a dorsal stripe on the back, which I absolutely love. But these guys too are absolutely gorgeous. And to get some captive born here in the US babies, oh my God. It comes around every once in a while, not too often. This is a snake that I think is vastly underrated, but quickly picking up. So people are starting to catch on to the fact of how badass these guys are. So more and more people are wanting these guys, when before, back in my day when I was breeding and selling, we couldn't sell these things for anything, and I just never got it because they're so awesome. And now they're becoming extremely popular, so I'm sure we're going to start to see some really cool stuff happen on the breeder side of things, because people are going to get creative with the selective breeding, picking out certain things, trying to bang out certain patterns. So for me, the Nicaraguan ones with the stripes are my favorite, but these guys here with some of these bands, look at this guy's bands here, almost solid down the back. And they are going to change a bit when they get older, but you're talking about some animals that literally are born in pristine conditions. You couldn't ask for much more. Now these aren't going to be available right away, but I'm sure pretty soon if you contact Josh or Carlos here at the shop, they'll help you out if you guys want to pre-order any of these. I'm not sure what the prices are going to be. That's not my deal. I don't spit that out online. That's their deal. But you can contact them and reserve some right now, because I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, and I mean this with everything in my soul, because I'm gonna grab one myself or two, I'm sure these guys are not gonna last long. So if you guys want yourself a captive born rat snake, tiger rat snake, then go ahead and make that phone call as quickly as possible and have them reserve you some. So once these guys go through their first shed, which is the interesting part about these baby snakes, so they hatch from the egg, and the egg yolk that they get themselves, once they hatch, they're pretty much fed. So then they go through what's called the first shed, or fed. fed. I think I said shed. So they're already fed from that yolk, so they're doing well. And then what happens is once they go through their first shed, after all these guys shed out, that's when the first meal will be given to them or offered to them. And usually with these guys being captive born especially, they're gonna eat right away, which gives you a really solid snake and actually gorgeous. And then you get the chance of having these captive born babies from Josh at Cold Blooded Kingdom. So these are Cold Blooded Kingdom babies, ladies and gentlemen. So go ahead and get on the phones, get to Josh before I do, because I want to take them all. It's like a good bowl of spaghetti right there. But these guys are doing extremely well. Cool part about these two is that he did not have to put these in the incubator. With the colubrids, a lot of times you don't need super high heat. So he had them up here on the shelf, which is probably going to give them about 78 to 80 degrees. Slow going process. It takes a couple of more days for them to hatch out. Usually it's about 55 days. You could start seeing some pipping. 60 days you'll see most of them start to come out. With these guys, I think he went a little bit longer because he was on the cooler side of things. But that's the incubation thing. If you go high, then you're going to have a lot faster incubation rate, but you really want to slow grow it and you want to slow cook it so that you can have some nice, beautiful, healthy babies. If you go too fast, a lot of times when they pop out, they still have the sac on the belly, and if it's still attached and not a lot of the yolk is soaked up, if the yolk is hardened, that snake will die. But gorgeous little tiger rat snakes. They're available, so if you guys want any, again, call ahead, because I promise you they will not last long. All right, now we're gonna get back to the monitors here. So I'm gonna show you another monitor that you guys could get, and then we're gonna do one more thing, and we're out for the day. Yeah. All right, so we got these gorgeous little guys right here. This is the Asian water monitor, but this is completely melanistic. They call them black dragons. So you guys see these produced at Nerd, and you see these produced from a couple of different places, but Josh had a bunch over here. Now there's not very many left. This is why I wanted to do an episode like this, just to show you guys some of the odds and ends he has here that goes very quickly. Now, usually these guys are extremely flighty, but these were captive born and bred in the States, and Josh got a hold, I think, 17 of these guys. I think there's only about 4 or 5 left, and the prices are extremely fair on these guys. And these will be one of the animals that I get when I move to the property and we get settled in. It's probably going to be a year or so before I can start getting anything into this caliber, because you need a lot of space for these guys. But these guys are already well socialized. So the disposition, usually when you get these Asian water monitors, especially the ones that come in imported, they are flighty as hell. They'll turn around and try and bite. They run like hell. You can't really hold them like this. But these guys are extremely calm, extremely gentle. Obviously you can see they have great weight. This guy's going through a little bit of a shed right here. Gorgeous little head on him, super alert. But this is what you get when you get to Cold Blooded Kingdom. All quality animals, and then you get some of the rarest of the rare. We're going through some of the species that aren't extremely rare today, and I want to do another episode for all the extremely rare stuff that Josh has here, because he's absolutely killing it when it comes to the rarities. And even those little tiger rat snakes that you saw, to have those born here in the shop is an epic type deal. So you got more captive born and bred. So like I explained before, CB is captive born. Like those guys right there, we would consider captive born from a gravid female. CBB is captive born and bred. That means they were bred here in the US. Usually they'll attach US CBB or UK CBB, because UK over there breeds a lot of cool animals that we don't often get over here. So that's why whenever we want the super rare stuff, we go to the UK, because some of those places that they can get stuff from, we can't. But available at Josh's shop, Cold Blooded Kingdom. Again, links into the description. We're going to show you guys one more thing before we end this little episode. You are a cute little dude. I gotta stop coming here, because every time I pick something up, I just want to take it home. I just want to take you home, bro. But look at that little velociraptor right there. And then, as calm as these things are already, it would not take much work to spend an hour a day with these guys and have an absolutely gorgeous, gigantic lizard coming. I mean, you saw the adult. If you go back a couple episodes, you can see one of the adults that Josh has here that's extremely chill, but it's a gorgeous animal to have in your collection. This is, again, probably an intermediate species, intermediate to advanced, just because of the space that you have to allow it to have. And obviously a big old pond for them, because they are a water monitor. Not meaning they live in the water, but they do like to soak often, and they need the space to do so. So when they get 4 and 5 feet long, 6 feet long, you definitely want the water in there with them. So usually it takes a big pool. So just remember, you get a little baby, it doesn't cost as much at first, but the cost gets higher when the animal gets bigger, because you're going to be feeding a lot more, and then obviously providing a lot more space. But you can see this guy's fairly chill. So if you guys are interested, contact us or contact CBK. and all links in description. All right, little buddy, let's go put you up. You just wanted to give me a kiss? That's so good. All right, boom. Alright, so this is the last part that we're going to do for the advertising of Josh's shop, and I wanted to do this. I've been wanting to do this just because there's so much here, so like I get here and I get all excited like a kid in a candy store, so I don't know where to start and where to end. So we usually focus on like one species at a time, but this time I just wanted to show you some of the stuff that he had available that you guys can actually get for yourselves. So this is another captive born and bred baby that you can get, and he's got, Josh, how many of these you got?
What's that?
How many of these you got?
I got at least 10 of them.
So he's got 10, maybe 11, something like that. And these guys are gonna go relatively quick as well. This species here is called a black-tailed crebo. So you have a unicolor crebo, you have a black-tailed crebo, and then you also have the yellow-tailed crebo. These guys come from South America. The unicolor doesn't have the black tail, it looks a lot like this. Now remember, when these guys get bigger, you're gonna still keep this beige pattern. The little flecks on the back are gonna disappear, but you're gonna still have this nice black tail. So that's why they call them a black-tailed crebo. The yellow-tailed crebos are a lot more purple in the front, and then it goes into a bright yellow tail. And then the unicolors, same as this, just all the way down with no black tail. The cool part about these guys is that they're related to my most favorite snake in the entire world, which is the Eastern Indigo. So much like the Texas Indigos, we have the Eastern Indigo down here, which is the largest Native American snake that we have here. So you get an Eastern Indigo that's reaching about 9 feet, and they were over collected, which is why they're endangered here in Florida. And the reason they were over collected is because the species themselves are so extremely calm, and the disposition on them is so extremely calm that they were so over collected, especially in the 70s and 80s, because you can get this huge snake. It was a gorgeous snake, and the Eastern Indigos, if you look at those, which is the cousin of these guys, they're all in the same family. So those guys there, largest North American snake that we have here, that Eastern Indigo snake, and then it's got its brother or its cousin over there in Texas, the Texas Indigo snake. So then these guys are the South American versions of your Eastern Indigos or your God damn it, I can't speak. Texas Indigo snakes. So you have these gorgeous little captive born and bred babies. These will also go quickly. Like, these don't last long. No crebos last long. Everybody's caught on to the fact that this is an extremely rare species that doesn't come in very often. So people are starting to do a little bit more captive breeding with these guys, which I like because it takes the collection from the wild out of it. Not completely, but it does help, because once we have more in the States, people are actively searching for captive born and bred babies like this one here. Why? They do a lot better. A lot of times when you get babies born overseas and then sent over, they don't do extremely well, and it's hard to get these guys started. But these guys are going to be like little tiny beasties. So if you're in the market for any crebos or anything that's like an indigo snake, this is exactly the counterpart of an indigo snake. Now my favorite, I think, of the crebos are going to be the yellowtails, just because of that nice purple color and the nice yellow tail, the bright yellow that you have on the tail there. But these guys are also just as gorgeous and becoming a little bit harder to get. So if you guys want to get on any of the species that you guys saw here today, contact them. All the links below in the description. Josh is nice enough to let me come here and hang out and film some cool stuff. We do have a lot of projects in the future that we're going to be working on here. We got a lot of surprises coming for you, and the next episode is going to be geared towards one of my favorite animals from, I'm going to say, let's try and give a hint. It's not from this country. It's not from South America. It's not from that side of the world. It's on the other side of the world, over in a spot that I've been dying to go for a long time, and hopefully one day me and Brian will end up over there, the land of Oz. So that's going to be on the next episode there. So if you guys can guess what it is a python. I'll give you that. Anybody can guess it in the comments. If you can guess what it is, I'll give you guys a gold star. I'll send you guys something when we get our merch out. I'll send you a sticker, a t-shirt, whatever it is, if you can guess what it is. And the first one has to be the first person to guess correctly. So it's a python in Oz. It's a relatively large python, one of my favorite species, and we're going to be doing that on the next go around here at Cold Blooded Kingdom. Thanks for hanging out, my dudes. Thanks to all my Patreons out there. We're going to give you guys some shout outs here soon. For any of the Patreons that are listening right now, if you guys want any specific shout shout outs if it's in your tier. If you want any specific shout outs for your Instagram pages, YouTube channels, whatever you guys got going on, go ahead and head over to the Patreon page and shoot us over a message. We love you guys. Thank you guys very much for the support, and boom.